Hey, I'm Jeff from Chimp Woodshop. We have a downstairs bathroom that mostly the kids go in, and we need some kind of shelf because we've only lived here a few months and everything's just kind of on the floor. So Mo thought, hey, how about an octagon? That'd be a pretty cool shape. And without really thinking about it, I said, sure. So I started building them, and I made this. Fits over my head. It's really just to get the angles down. And then I made this. It's out of pine, just to test stuff. It's a piece of garbage. But then I made the final one. Yeah. Wait a minute. Well, the size is right, but it looks like garbage. Hang on. I think I can do better. So for cross cutting, I'm going to use this 80 tooth blade I have. It makes nice clean cuts across, and since I don't want to have to go in and clean anything up, this will be the way to go. Also, the octagon edges and sides of the shelves are going to touch for glue up anyways, so I don't have to worry about the end. Just have to keep it from chipping. My table saw is a little too close to the wall right now, so to get these boards cut started, I had to use the circular saw just to slice them down in half. And then can get the blade height to proper height and start cutting. Just going to make a couple clean cuts to straighten them up. Off camera, I spent a lot of time looking online trying to figure out the angles and get it through my head. It's the first time I've made an octagon or anything like it, and it was a little weird at first, but I figured out it's 67.5 degrees, and luckily I have this new angle gauge that makes it super easy to get that all dialed in. I don't have a crosscut sled, and I don't like my chop saw, so I'm using just the miter gauge. I tuned it in to 90 against the blade beforehand, and then clamping it down, just don't even need to, but just to make sure it stays flat and my fingers don't have to get too close to the blade, even with the blade guard in place. So that works out really well. Once I have the first piece in, I'm using this little stop block against the fence to make repeatable cuts, but I'm only using a little piece so that when it's actually at the cutting part on the table, there's a space between the board and the fence. So there's no chance of kickback. It'll just slide off if anything. Just temporarily strapped it together so I could dial in these shelves. To do it, I'm just really using relative measurements. I measured to make sure that they're on the same spot on each side, and then just kept taking little slices off until it fit in. The top shelf is a straight 90, and the bottom shelf is 45 degrees. So pretty much the same method, just a couple little cuts over and over. I want this to be as clean yet as strong as possible, so instead of using splines or dowels or anything, I'm going to use the domino to hold the octagon together. I'm also going to use it to hold in the shelves so I don't have to do dados or anything like that. Keep it nice and clean. These will give it strength and rigidity and keep everything in place. They're all straight cuts except for the bottom shelf on the outside. It's a weird 45 degree angle that I'm kind of having to jerry-rig a little bit to get in place, but once I got it, everything goes in really fast. Glue up on this octagon was really a pain in the ass. There's a lot of little pieces, a lot of little dominoes, a lot of angles, and just a lot of glue joints that I have to get right and pretty fast. Using Tybond too, so I do have some open time, but this is a lot of pieces. So I was working as fast as I can, and hopefully everything comes together. Just have to work in sections and take it together. Got it all glued up there, and I'm going to put a ratchet strap through around to secure it, since I can't do, I could do regular clamps, but this way it'll hold it all together in that circle shape. Squeeze everything together real tight, and I'm going to put bar clamps around where the shelves are. I'm trying to put in on the bottom angle, but I didn't have any angle pieces cut, so that didn't really work out, but I just squeezed it at the end. And then pull that bottom shelf into place. I'm using these just squeeze clamps to pull it down, and that'll get the bottom joint really tight, so it'll make it as seamless as possible. After the glue is dried, pull everything apart, and it looks really good. Happy with all the joints, and I start sanding, and then I notice, why is there all this squeeze out in here, and how am I going to get in these tight corners? So I get the chisel, and I get to work on it. And then I get the block plane blade out. Next time I will definitely use the straw squeeze or a hose or anything to keep this massive amount of squeeze out from the tiny corners. It wasn't so much the amount, it was just that I couldn't get to it with any normal tool easily. The poplar wood is actually pretty nice on its own. I think a little bit of oil or something would make it look pretty nice, but Mo wants a dark color to match the rest of the cabinets in the bathroom. So I got this wood stain from Minwax. The only area has this weird two splotches. My only guess is that maybe there was glue. I don't know. It's annoying. Despite the annoyance, I just added a little extra stain and faded in. It kind of hides it pretty well. Using the water-based stain and polycrylic on this, mainly because it's in my basement and it's too cold to go outside, so I want to avoid fumes as possible. So I thought this would be a good project to try it out. I am amazed at how little the fumes are, and actually the stain and the poly went on really well. So I'm really happy with it, and I'll definitely use it again if I have to stain or even just seal with the poly. Alright, this one looks a lot better. The poplar took a nice stain. I don't usually stain wood, but this was worked out really well. I like the color. I had those two little spots, but I think it turned out pretty well. I like the joint a lot better for sure. Nice and clean. And it looks good. I'm happy with it. It's going in the bathroom. It'll be great. We'll put stuff on it. It's great. One thing I forgot to do before starting this, because just kind of started, was how to hang it. I have an idea for that. We're going to go do that in a minute. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed watching. Let's go hang this thing, and when we're done, I'll see you later. Bye. So I'm only able to find one stud where I'm going to hang this shelf. But it's okay because I'll just hang it in the same stud but across the two shelves. To do that, I first find the height, and then I'm going to mark the positions and make sure that there's actually a stud there. And then transfer those positions downstairs, and we'll drill the holes downstairs. It's a little nerve-wracking drilling into this shelf since it's only twice the thickness of the drill bit. And I don't have a drill press, so I'm using this square to make sure I go in vertically and try to keep everything aligned. Seems to be working out. Got the first hole in, and make sure it's lined up with the first one when I do the second hole, and we get that all drilled in. Actually went out pretty well. I think it looks straight. So back to the bathroom we go. I'm using hanger bolts to hang the shelves. They're kind of coarse threads that go into the stud, and then thin threads that you're supposed to screw things into. I just use it as friction mounted. It's worked before. Of course, I bought the bolts and forgot to get the nuts that I used to lock together to twist in. Tried to fake it out with tape. That didn't work, so back to the hardware store I went. And here's my little buddy showing me how to screw these hanger bolts into the wall properly. Doing a great job. Was able to get them all the way in by himself. Pretty impressed. I'm gonna take a seat and relax. With the bolts in place, the only thing left to do is line up the shelf and push and pray. I guess is not really a saying, but it's what I'm going to do here. And boom, a little help from the buddy, and we get that shelf flush with the wall. Really glad it worked out. Did not want to have to do that again. Little buddy's happy. Most importantly, Mo's happy. So I think it turned out really well. Thanks for watching. I'm going to go back to building. Come on, check out Chimp Wood Shop again sometime. Thanks. Bye. And got some new wood. I don't like that one either.